I'm ready to start the final cuff, and I find that it's a lot easier to pick up the bars later if I mark them in this row, my first row of the cuff, with some pieces of scrap yarn. So I have 6 total, 1 in a contrasting color, and I'm going to start with that one to mark the first needle by the main mark. Normally I would have my main mark at 6 o'clock, but I wanted to make sure you can see with the angle. So our goal is to mark 1 needle to the right of the main mark, the halfway mark, and each of the 4 target marks. And what you want to pick up is the bar at the back, because there's a little horizontal bar right at the back of the stitch, right there. That's what we're going to pick up. I actually do that with the latch tool. So pull the needle forward, go into that bar with your latch tool, and then fold your scrap yarn in half and lay it over the front of the latch tool. Make sure you've pushed forward far enough that the stitch is below the latch. Then pull back to pull the scrap yarn through. Push forward again so that the new loop you just made falls below the latch. Lay the ends over the front part of the latch tool and pull back. So essentially you've just made a slip knot around that stitch. And then we would repeat again for each of these. So I'll show you one more. Pull the needle forward, put the latch tool at the bar at the back, lay the scrap yarn in front and pull it through, push forward far enough that the loop falls below the latch, and then pull the tail ends through. I'm going to mark the first 3 and then set my row counter to 0. Now you'll crank 30 rows. I've finished my 30 rows and I've stopped with the main mark at 6 o'clock. So now I'm going to reach in and pull out my soft weight. Remember to always hold at the bottom so that the stitches don't jump off. And I will also remove my cable ring. We're done with that. Now you'll carefully reach in, again, trying not to disturb the stitches, and pull up those pieces of scrap yarn. And the first one, the one that's the different color, is the one that goes, you hang it right on the first needle to the right of the main mark. So you can see, don't let it pull completely out of shape, but if you just pull it very gently, it naturally creates that opening with the bar to easily hang it over the needle. And now we're going to repeat and hang the other ones. It's always, remember, on the needle to the right of the mark, the right as you're looking from the outside of the cylinder. And we'll be able to do all of them. Oops. We'll be able to do all of them except for this one that's right here in the cam area. So we'll do that one in a minute. The next step then is to pick up the bars, and we're going to hang 1 bar on each needle. But it's a little bit different than when we have the ravel cord. It can be a little tricky to be able to see which bar to pick up. I thought it might help to look at this sample piece of knitting. And this is the side that looks like the outside of a sock would sit. This would sit in the cylinder like this. And this is the part down in the center. And this is the side that we're looking at when we're looking to pull up the bars over the needles. If I pull this apart a little bit, I don't know if you can see how these stitches are formed, that there's this part, kind of this little horseshoe here, and then it has an interlocking piece this way, little more of a U shape, so kind of got horseshoes and U's. And at the top, this makes a little frown, and this makes a little smile. This makes a little frown, this makes a little smile. So when we're trying to pick up the bars, we need to follow the row across right? We just need to pick up the smile. So here's one smile, we'd skip this frown. Here's a smile, we'd skip that frown. Here's a smile, skip the frown. Like that all the way across. So we're looking for the smiles, and we want to grab them all ideally from the same row. And it's usually easy to see if you've managed that by the time you get around to the other side, to the next marker that you've made. You can go ahead and remove these scrap markers as you get to them so that they're not in your way. We're going to go until the next stitch marker that we made and then stop. Then you can remove that scrap as well. Once you have them all hung, lift those needles up and out of work. Now you can rotate the cylinder so that it's easier to reach the next section. Remember, you don't have your weight in, so use your hand to push down on the stitches. Stop so the stitches that have not yet been hung are not yet into the cam area. You can still reach them. And you'll continue like this, doing one section at a time until you are all the way around the cylinder. It's just really important to make sure that you remember to lift the needles up and out of work before you turn them in front of the cam area. I have finished hanging all my bars. There are 2 stitches on every needle. Every needle is lifted, and I have removed all my pieces of scrap yarn. So now I am ready for the latch tool bind off.
Visit us at deanandbean.com and please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.